You ever notice how loud the ones with nothing to say always are? How the ones who move the least talk the most? See, real ones don't gotta announce who they are. The energy already speaks. But a stupid person, he gonna give himself away every time. He can't help it. He gotta prove something that ain't even there. You ever notice how some people can't stop talking about themselves? Like every time you around them, it's a performance. Every word sounds like they trying to prove something. You can feel it, the insecurity sitting right behind every sentence. It's like they scared of silence, scared that if they stop talking, people gonna see who they really are. That's the truth a lot of folks run from. The loudest one in the room ain't confident. He's covering up what he don't want you to see. See, when you really know yourself, you don't need to explain to nobody. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to remind people what you got or who you are. It's understood. Your energy walk in the room before you do. But when you're insecure, when you're unsure about your worth, you start filling the quiet with words. You start talking too much about what you've done, what you're going to do, who you know, who you used to be. You start creating this noise so people don't hear the silence inside you. That's insecurity disguised as confidence. A real one don't got to prove nothing. He just moves how he moves. He's presence already enough. You can feel the weight of somebody who's been through things, learn, evolve. You don't hear him talk about success. You see it. You see it in his work, in his peace, in his patience. He ain't pressed to be seen or praised. That's confidence. But a fool, he trying to sell you a version of himself that even he don't believe in. That's why he keep talking. Talking too much is a defense mechanism. It's like armor made of words. You throw out stories, opinions, jokes, anything to distract from the truth that you don't feel secure inside. You try to fill every quiet moment because silence feels heavy when you don't like what you hear inside your own head. So you talk to escape yourself. But real growth start when you get comfortable being quiet, when you don't gotta explain yourself, when you can just be. I learned that people who truly know their value don't argue about it. They don't debate. They don't flex. They don't need to convince anybody. They just show up. They let time, consistency, and energy tell the story. Because truth don't need promotion. Real ones don't chase validation. They let the world catch up when it's ready. You ever met somebody who moves quiet, but their presence hit harder than the whole crowd? That's because they built their confidence in private. They spent time in silence, building, learning, healing. They don't need attention. They already got alignment. That's the difference. Security talks too much. Peace don't need to. The problem with overtalking is it exposes you. You start revealing things you shouldn't. You start sounding unsure even when you're trying to sound strong. You say too much. You promise things you can't keep. You create expectations you can't meet, and then you end up looking exactly like what you was trying to hide, unprepared, uncertain, insecure. Sometimes silence would have protected you. Silence is discipline, it's maturity, it's power. When you're quiet, you can hear what other people can't. You can see the moves before they happen. You can observe instead of react. But when you talk too much, you lose control of your own narrative. You give people the blueprint to your weaknesses. You give energy to things that don't deserve your voice. There's a reason why the wise ones don't say much. They learn that everything don't need a response, every thought don't need to be spoken, and every opinion don't need to be shared. When you talk less, you listen more, and when you listen more, you learn faster. That's how you level up. The fool runs his mouth, the real one runs his game. You gotta learn to be still. Learn to let your silence speak for you. Let your actions tell your story. The world gonna notice when it's time. You ain't gotta rush it. You ain't gotta broadcast it. The ones who get it gonna get it. The rest wasn't supposed to. So stop trying to prove you're something. Stop over talking like you're trying to convince the world or yourself that you matter. You already do. The only validation that counts is when you can look in the mirror and feel peace. That's the kind of confidence that don't need an audience. Because when you're real, you don't need to talk loud to be heard. You just move with purpose. Let time do its job and let silence be your strongest statement. You can tell a fool by the way he talks, not by how loud he is, not by how much he says, but by what comes out when his ego gets tested. You'll hear in his words. Those same 4 lines that give him away every time. I already know I don't need advice. I don't care what people think. I'm always right. Each one sounds strong on the surface, but deep down is weakness wearing confidence like a disguise. That's the language of someone who stopped learning, but still want to look wise. I already know. That's the first one. You can't teach a man who think he got all the answers. The second he says that, you already know he lost. Because life don't stop teaching. Every day, every mistake, every person you meet, they all carry something you don't know yet. But when your ego too big, Your ears close, you stop listening, you start defending what you already know instead of expanding what you can learn. That's why so many people stay stuck. Same habits, same mindset, same results. The ones who win long term are the ones humble enough to say, teach me. You can't grow in a space where your pride louder than your curiosity. Then comes the second one, I don't need advice. That's the lie of independence going wrong. Yeah, you can move alone, but nobody wins alone. Every great person learned from somebody. Every strong foundation got built off lessons passed down. But a fool rejects that because he thinks, listen, make him look weak. He confuses guidance with control. He too busy protecting his image to protect his future. But the wise know advice is free gold. You don't got to take every word, but you listen. You filter it, you apply what fits, you leave what don't. Only a fool walks through fire without asking the man with scars how he survived it. The third one sound tough. I don't care what people think. And yeah, on the surface, that's about freedom. Not let opinions define you. But there's a difference between peace and pride. When you truly don't care, it comes from confidence. You know who you are, so noise don't shake you. But when a fool says it, it's defense. It's fear dressed as fearlessness. He say he don't care because he can't handle the truth. He say he don't care because deep down he does too much. So he built his wall of words to hide behind. But the truth is, if you truly don't care, you don't need to say it. Real ones just keep moving. You don't gotta announce that you're unbothered. Silence already proves it. And the last one, I'm always right. That's the final form of foolishness. That's when ego done took full control. The moment you believe you're always right, you stop evolving. You stop checking yourself. You stop growing. That's when mistakes repeat. Blessings get blocked. Lessons keep coming back in new forms until you finally humble down enough to admit you was wrong. Ain't nobody always right. Not the smartest man, not the richest, not the most spiritual. We all got blind spots. We all got things we don't see till life forces us to. But the fool refuses correction. He'd rather crash than turn the wheel. All four of those lines, they sound like strength, but they're really shields. Shields built out of pride and fear. They protect nothing, they just delay the fall. Because when you move like that long enough, life gonna humble you. Life gonna strip that ego down till you realize you don't know everything. You do need advice, you should care about the right opinions, and you damn sure ain't always right. Real strength is quiet. Real wisdom says, maybe I don't know, maybe I can learn, maybe there's a better way. It takes courage to admit that. It takes discipline to listen instead of defend. The fool's voice is loud, but his impact fades quick. The wise one don't say much. But when he does, the room listens. So watch how people talk. Watch how you talk. Every time those four phrases try to slip out your mouth, stop and ask yourself, am I speaking from ego or growth? Am I protecting myself or am I limiting myself? The moment you get honest about that, that's when real elevation starts. You can't rise with pride weighing you down. The fool keeps talking circles, the wise one keeps stepping forward. Silence, humility, openness, that's how you win for real. It's crazy how noise became the new language of people who ain't got much to say. Everywhere you look, somebody yelling, showing off, trying to be seen. Folks confuse volume with value now. But if you've been through life, if you really don't struggle, built, and grown, you start realizing that real wisdom don't need to scream. Wisdom moves quiet. Foolishness is loud because it needs attention. It needs validation. It needs eyes on it to feel like it matters. See, silence got power most people never learn to understand. When you quiet, you can hear the things everybody else talk over. You catch lessons in the spaces between the noise. You start seeing the difference between movement and commotion. Foolish people love commotion. They love to be seen, even if it means looking lost. They love to be heard, even if what they say got no weight. But the ones who really know, they don't chase attention. They attract it through presence. You can feel when somebody got wisdom. They ain't got to raise their voice for it to hit you. When I was younger, I used to think silence meant weakness. I thought speaking up, proving myself, arguing, that was how you showed you were strong. But the older I got, the more I learned that real power don't need proof. The people who always talking, always explaining, always trying to convince others, they the ones who still fighting for peace inside themselves. A man who's truly wise ain't trying to win arguments. He's trying to win within. And that kind of victory don't come from words. It comes from stillness. The fool loud because he's scared of being ignored. He talk like the world on him attention. He flexes his possessions, his opinions, his pride. But deep down, he's empty. That noise is a distraction from what he's missing. Wisdom, though, wisdom don't got to perform. It's rooted. It's grounded. It speaks when needed, not just when it's possible. That's the difference between someone who's trying to be right and someone who's trying to be real. You can see it in how people handle disrespect. The fool got to clap back every time. He got to prove he ain't soft. He got to show the world he can't be talked to any kind of way. But the wise, he know silence cuts deeper than any comeback. He know energy don't need to be wasted on every challenge. He pick his battles. He let time handle what words can't. That strength most people never master, the ability to not react, to not be pulled into every fire somebody try to throw you in. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing. That silence confuses people who live off attention. It makes them uncomfortable, but that's the point. When you move in silence, you keep your focus sacred. You protect your energy. You stop explaining yourself to people who ain't even listening. The fool wants to be seen talking. The wise man wants to be understood through action. That's why real ones don't tell you what they gonna do. They just do it. By the time you see it, it's already done. And it ain't just about talking. Foolishness is loud in how it moves too. It rushes. It shows off. It's impatient. Wisdom takes its time. It builds slow. It watches the game before it plays it. It learns from mistakes instead of hiding from them. The fool spends his life trying to look successful. The wise spends his life becoming successful. There's a difference. One's loud for applause, the other's quiet for impact. You ever notice how peace got no sound? That's what wisdom feels like. It's steady. It don't need a crowd. It don't need approval. It's peaceful, but chaos is loud, messy, and always demanding attention. That's why foolishness never finds peace. It's too busy performing. You learn in life that the ones who talk less often know more. They watch. They read the room. They study people. They let the fools expose themselves. Because when everybody talking, the truth usually hides in silence. Wisdom is about patience, discipline, and the ability to hold your peace even when your pride want to speak. That's a different kind of strength. So don't mistake quiet for weakness. Don't think silence means you lost. Sometimes silence is strategy. Sometimes silence is self-control. The loudest one might look like he's winning right now, but when the noise fades, what's left? A real foundation or just echoes? The wise stay calm because they already been through storms. They don't need to make noise about survival. They are survival. They don't talk about loyalty. They live it. They don't tell you their plan. They execute it. That's how you know the difference. Foolishness wants to be seen. Wisdom wants to be remembered. So move quiet. Think deep. Let your peace do the talking. Because in a world full of noise, silence is going to always sound like power. Growth don't come from talking about it. It comes from taking them hard lessons and letting them humble you. Everybody want to evolve, everybody want to level up, but not everybody want to face what that really takes. Growth ain't about success, it's about surrender. You got to be willing to admit that you don't know it all, that you've been wrong, that there's still more to learn. That's humility. And without it, you'll stay stuck at the same level, trying to look like you moving forward when you're really just running in circles. Humility is the soil where growth gets planted. You can't build nothing real on pride. Pride hardens your heart, it makes you unteachable. It makes you think you're above correction, above advice, above accountability. But when you humble yourself, when you open your mind and your spirit to learn, that's when you start seeing change. The problem is most people are too busy protecting their image to protect their future. They scared to look wrong, scared to look small, scared to admit they slipped. But growth gonna always demand that you face that mirror with honesty. You gotta understand, life gonna test your ego before it ever bless your progress. Every setback, every loss, every rejection, it's not punishment, it's preparation. Life trying to see if you can stay grounded when things fall apart. Humility is what keeps you balanced when success start knocking. If you don't got it, that same success will destroy you. Because without humility, you forget what built you. You forget the process. You start acting like the finish line is proof you special, when really the race itself was the blessing. People think humility means being weak. Nah, it's the opposite. It takes strength to admit you don't got all the answers. It takes strength to say, I was wrong. It takes strength to learn from someone younger or from somebody you once looked down on. It's easy to talk like you know everything. It's hard to sit quiet and listen. But that's where wisdom grows, in silence, in reflection, in correction. You can't grow without getting checked sometimes. And you can't get checked if you're too proud to hear it. See, growth ain't comfortable. It'll break your patterns, test your patience, and expose the parts of you that still need work. That's where humility shows up. In the moments you realize you ain't as evolved as you thought. The fool rejects that truth. He blames the world, blames people, blames the system. The wise man looks within. He says, maybe I could have handled that better. Maybe I got more to learn. That mindset alone separates the ones who rise from the ones who just talk about rising. Humility also keeps your blessings safe, because the minute you start feeling untouchable, the universe reminds you, you human. You make mistakes, you bleed, you fall. And if you don't stay humble, that fall gonna hurt a lot worse. But when you humble, you bounce back quick. You take your losses with grace. You don't let failure break you. You let it teach you. You understand that every L just prepare you for the next W. That's the mindset that builds longevity. Look at the people who really last, not the ones who blow up quick, but the ones who sustain over years. You always find humility in their foundation. They never stop learning, never stop listening, never stop growing. They treat every season like a new lesson, not a victory lap. That's why they keep winning. They don't let ego block that evolution. You can't pour wisdom into a full cup. You gotta empty yourself sometimes. Empty the pride, the arrogance, the need to be right. Make space for growth. Make space for new understanding. Life don't reward people who act like they know everything. It rewards the ones who stay open, who stay teachable, who stay humble enough to receive what's next. Don't get it twisted. Being humble don't mean letting people walk over you. It means knowing your worth without having to scream it. It means knowing when to speak and when to listen. It means staying grateful even when you're hungry, staying patient even when you're ready, staying grounded even when you start rising. That's real strength. That's real growth. So if you ever find yourself feeling stuck, check your pride. Ask yourself if you've been too busy defending your ego instead of developing your spirit. Because the moment you humble yourself enough to learn, life started opening doors that were always there. You just couldn't see it. Growth don't come from acting like you already made it. It comes from admitting you're still building. Keep learning, keep listening, keep moving. But above all, stay humble. That's how you keep growing, no matter how far you go. Everybody out here chasing sunlights, clout, attention, validation. The whole world got addicted to the image of success instead of the reality of it. People don't want to build nothing solid no more. They just want to look like they did. But the real ones know image fades, legacy lasts. When the lights go off and the crowd stop cheering, when your name ain't trending no more, all that's left is what you built when nobody was watching. See, image is cheap. Anybody can buy it, post it, or fake it. Legacy can't be faked. Legacy comes from consistency, from integrity, from how you move when ain't nobody looking. The fool spends his whole life trying to protect his image. The wise spend theirs protecting their purpose. One lives for the moment, the other lives for the generations. That's the difference between fame and impact. We living in a time where perception got more value than truth. People got cameras before they got character. They build highlight reels but no foundation. But what happens when the camera turn off? What happens when nobody's watching? That's when legacy speaks. Legacy don't need filters, don't need approval. It lives in the work and the people you help and the energy you leave behind. I've down seen too many folks lose themselves trying to keep an image alive. They sell their piece for popularity, their morals for attention. But that's temporary. You might win quick, but you lose deep. Because when it's all over, image don't keep you warm at night. Image don't raise your kids right. Image don't heal your spirit. Legacy do. Legacy is the seed you plant that still grows when you're gone. It's your name being spoken with respect long after the noise disappears. The problem is, people confuse visibility with value. Just because everybody see you don't mean you making a difference. Some people known by millions but remembered by none. And some people known by a few but remembered forever. That's what legacy does. It speaks louder with time. Image fades like smoke. Legacy ages like gold. Legacy is built slow. It don't happen overnight. It's in the grind, the discipline, the sacrifices that never made it to social media. It's the years you spend building your character when nobody believed in you. It's the lessons you passed on to the next person. It's how you treat people when they got nothing to offer you. That's legacy. You can't fake that energy. You got to decide early what you want more, applause or respect, because they are the same. Applause is for now. Respect is forever. Image gives you followers. Legacy gives you purpose. Image might get you paid. Legacy makes you remembered. You can't chase both. One gonna slow you down. If you only care how you look, you'll never care how you last. Look at the greats, not just the famous ones, but the solid ones. The ones whose names still move hearts long after they're gone. They weren't perfect, they weren't always understood, but they were real. They stood on something, they built something that couldn't be erased. That's what I mean when I say legacy. It ain't about fame, it's about foundation. When you work for image, you want attention. When you work for legacy, you want meaning. You don't care who claps, you care who learns. You don't care about headlines. You care about footprints. You ain't trying to be seen everywhere. You trying to be felt forever. That's a different kind of hunger. And don't think legacy only means money or billions or award. Sometimes legacy is how you love, how you lifted people when they was low, how you kept your word when it would have been easier to break it, how you carried yourself when nobody gave you credit. That's the stuff that lasts. That's what kids grow up hearing about you. That's what strangers mention when your name comes up. The truth is, image is about ego. Legacy is about impact. Image is loud. Legacy is silent but deep. Image dies when you do. Legacy starts when you do. So what you building, something for people to see or something for people to feel. You can't chase both and expect peace. So move different, build slow, think long. Let your actions speak more than your captions. Stop trying to impress people who won't even remember you next week. Invest in what's eternal, character, values, purpose. That's how you build something that outlives you. When it's all said and done, nobody gonna care about the image you maintain. They're gonna care about the lives you changed. They're gonna remember how you made them feel, how you stood your ground, how you gave when you didn't have much to give. That's the real win. That's what lasts. Legacy over image every time.